we were sitting there training legs one day, and Paul asks me, Joe, when are you gonna compete? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I kind of want to hold off on it. And he was like, what is the real reason? He's like, is it a money thing? And I said, to be honest, yeah, like money's tight. Like I wouldn't be able to afford it right now. And then he told me, he's like, look, if that's the case, he's like, because you're ready to do a show. He said, I will message my coach, which is Justin Compton. He's like, I'm going to talk to him about you, and I'll pay for your first 2 months of coaching.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. Welcome back to another edition of RX Muscle Spotlight. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today we're joined by our NPC 2023 USA Men's Bodybuilding Overall Champion and new IFBB Pro, Joe Palacios. Welcome to the show, and congratulations, Joe.
It's a pleasure to be here, Dave. Thank you.
Good title, right? Mr. USA.
Yeah. Yep, I love it. It's a dream come true.
I remember when I interviewed Derek Lunsford when he won the USA Championships. It was a while ago back. I don't even remember how many years it was. And he's like, man, that's all I ever wanted to get was that title, Mr. USA. And, you know, you're a California guy. That's a big title out there, Mr. California and Mr. USA. And you got both those titles.
Yes, I did. And it's funny because the California, when I won that, my coach, Justin Compton, and a bunch of other people told me, go do the USAs, Joe, go do the USAs.
Right.
And my coach told me that I have a heavy chance of winning my class. He's like, I don't know about the show, but I believe you'll win your class as a heavyweight. And I told him, I was like, look, man, as much as that sounds enticing and everything, I was like, I want to win the show. And I believe that if I put on a little bit more size and close or get to the top of the heavyweight class, I'll solidify that. And then I told him my plan of action and what I wanted to do. And he was like, you know what, like, I'm on board with it. We'll just go. And I ended up jumping into the super heavyweight class. that was something we didn't expect me to do, but I did it. But I didn't mess around at all in the off season. It was 100% work, and it was a 14-month time frame between shows. But my mind was set on winning the USAs. I didn't just want a pro card, because back then they used to only give the pro cards to the overall winner, and I'm very old school.
I'm very aware of that. Yeah, I'm very aware of that, unfortunately.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, anybody else watching, if they didn't know, you know, and I wanted to win it that way, and so that's where I was stuck at. So even when they announced me as the new IFBB Pro after my class, in my head, that wasn't enough. I was like, I need to hear the words, "Your new Mr. USA, Joseph Palacios." So that's kind of where my mindset was at the whole time.
30 on stage, but people don't realize you're only 5'8", so you know that's really big. You know, that's a lot of mass on that frame you got. So, what did you weigh when you were a heavyweight the year before?
So, when I stepped on the scale for check-ins, I was 218. The lowest I got for that prep at my most depleted was 209.8.
So you put a lot of muscle on in 1 year. You gained, 11, 12 pounds of solid muscle.
Yes.
That's incredible when you think about it. You know.
Yeah, I got up to so the heaviest I got in that off season for the California was 240 pounds. And then this off season, I pushed it all the way to 274 pounds at my heaviest. And
you're only 29 years old, so
yes.
you got a big long career ahead of you. You know, assuming you stay healthy, and I'll knock on wood for that. I don't want to see anything happen to you, obviously, but you didn't have such an easy go at, like a lot of guys I talk to in an interview, especially the guys that win the these national titles. they were teen champions. They've been doing this since they're little kids, and this was the dream culmination of their dream come true. But you had a different start, really. I mean, you were a football player in high school, but you suffered with an eating disorder. Explain that. Tell us what happened.
Yeah. So after, like, I always wanted to be an NFL football player, and I realized, like, I did well. I was a middle linebacker and stuff, but I got really banged up, and I was like, you know what? Like, this sport's not even fun anymore. But the one thing I loved most about football, outside of, like, hitting people, was the weight training. My body responded faster than everybody else's. Like, from freshman year to sophomore year, I put on 30 pounds, and I was like one of the strongest kids there. And I started off at 175 pounds, got up to 205 from freshman to sophomore year. So my body I ate and I lifted, and it just blew up. And then, so decided to walk away from football and try to do the bodybuilding thing. And I was kind of put on this, like...
Why did you leave football if you were doing so well?
The injuries. It just wasn't fun anymore. Every time I would play, I would just get hurt, like, towards the end. And,
let me ask you this question. Because I never played football. I played football, like, with friends and stuff like that. I never played, like, organized football. I was always into soccer at the time. But, at 5'8", and you were solid, and you probably were, like you said, one of the strongest guys. But there is a height disadvantage to play, especially playing a position like linebacker. Most of these guys in the NFL are like 6'6", 6'5". Were you getting pummeled by guys that were just taller than you?
Pretty much that, and then they would tell me, well, oh, you'd be a great, like, fullback and stuff, but I wasn't that fast. So,
that's a problem.
So you know what, it is what it is. And then also, like, I said, I love to, like, hit people. Like, I was always aggressive.
Right.
So there's
But what the funny thing is? The funny thing is, and this is why I bring it up, is that, here you are, you love football. It's like your passion. You love hitting people. You're probably good at it. And meanwhile, you didn't even know you have, like, a natural predisposition to be genetically inclined to be a top level bodybuilder. It's like, it's incredible how you sometimes have to find what your real calling is, by doing things the wrong way first,
Yeah, exactly. And it is funny, like, in hindsight, you see, like, looking back, like, oh shit, like, there was a response there. I just didn't know. I was ignorant to it. But everybody around me, even my coach, was like, man, you're getting big pretty quick, Palacios, blah, blah, blah. So, looking back, it's pretty cool, seeing it all unfold like that.
Yeah. So you get into bodybuilding. How does that happen? Who do you contact? Like, who are you working with at this point?
There was a guy, one of the coaches there. He would assist with football and stuff.
Right.
And he like knew Arnold Schwarzenegger and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But this guy was very, like, he was stubborn, and if you read something, like, he was like, that's how you do it, kind of thing. Like, so he pretty much put me on this, like, 0-carb diet, like, to build muscle too. This is the advice I was given. It was 0-carb diet to build muscle, but, like, Saturday and Sunday was, like, eat whatever you want. Like, and I went cold turkey, whatever I was doing before.
That, whose diet that is? That's the Mauro Di Pasquale's anabolic diet that he had put this was back in the early 90s. The WBF was formed. It was a bodybuilding organization by Vince McMahon. He was going to launch his own bodybuilding organization, and he stole a lot of the top athletes at the time, Gary Stridham, Jimmy Quinn, and he was doing great with it. And then what happened is all these steroid charges came on him, and they had to start testing all the athletes. And so they hired Mauro Di Pasquale. It was a doctor, good guy, smart guy, to put the bodybuilders on a special diet that would enable them to build muscle without steroids. And we know how that goes, right?
That's pretty much what it talks about.
That's the diet. Yeah, he put you on. That's so funny.
Yeah, and it made me so food focused. I could not wait. I would get up stupid early and go to bed stupid late on Saturday and Sunday, because I would try to jam as much food. We're talking, like, I would eat, like, half a sheet cake and donuts and stuff to start my day, because that's how.
The Andrew Shane Body Opus diet was very similar to that too. Yeah,
man. And in the moment, it's like euphoria, man. It's amazing. But then, like, you go back to Monday. Like, at first, Monday and Tuesday are cool, but by Wednesday, you're thinking about that again. And then you don't even, I didn't even have fun training or nothing. Like, I was like, man.
Oh man.
And so, I was, it just became a terrible habit to where those 2 days became into now having them on the weekdays and all that. And I completely blew out of proportion to where now I tried to like starvation diet myself. And then that spiraled into like me getting down all the way to like 145 pounds.
45 from 205? Oh my
So
God.
at my heaviest in high school, I was actually 230 pounds. My normal weight, because that was after like I broke my foot or whatever, but my normal like athletic fit weight was 205 to 210 pounds on average. Yeah, and I pretty much graduated at 145 pounds, and I was like that for like a year. And
What
my
did the
body
kids
was
at
like,
school think? Hold on. What did the kids at school? They must have thought there was something like you were sick or something like that, right?
they did. There were some people that thought I had cancer and stuff because my skin was so pale. I had a death face, like a dieting death face.
Wow.
Like now that I have knowledge about like calories and everything like that now, if I were to go back, man, I was eating roughly between like 500 to 1,000 calories a day, like max. And so
That's crazy.
it was really bad. And then eventually, so I went to Vegas with my family. I was 19 now at this time, and there's this guy trying to sell CDs, and he offered me one, and I was like, "Oh no, thank you, man." And then this guy, for some reason, decided to tell me like how I'm pretty much prison material for him. Like he would love to put a little dress on me and stuff, and have a
My
great time with
God.
me. And I was like, "What the hell?" Like I've never, I was like, nobody's ever disrespected me like that in my life. I was always a bigger guy, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Man, like, do I really look like that?" So I said, like, we were literally headed to a buffet, and that day, or that weekend with my family, I put on 8 pounds that weekend. I did not stop eating. It turned into I ate my way back up to that 220-pound version of myself, and that's when it stopped. Like I stopped eating at that point where now life was just kind of normal, but I had to hold it there for a while because once you do that, like your body won't let you go down because then you'll start eating like crazy again. It's almost like a post show, but because of the knowledge I have now, like that doesn't happen to me after a show, just because again I have so much knowledge on how to handle it and how to take on it.
Sure.
So things never get blown out of proportion. But yeah, I had to deal with that, and for about 2 years, and then around that time, I also lost my dad to diabetes. He was 59 years old. I think I was 22, and I had a grieving period for that. So I was drinking a lot and stuff, going out, trying to like just get my lose myself like in the what like my reality was. So I one day I just woke up and I looked in the mirror and just thought about how disappointed my dad would be in me if he saw where I was at and stuff. I wasn't really accomplishing anything. I had a full-time job and all that, and I was doing well there, but my life outside of work was just not like my mental state was not good. And then I decided, like I need to get back to where like I was the most happy. And so I started, I never stopped lifting weights, by the way. I always trained. Even I took like a year off and I was really skinny, but once I started eating like crazy again, I was like, well, let me try to put this food somewhere. So I would still lift weights, and I started off like 3 times a week and stuff like that. So I've always like trained still, and then but yeah, with my dad passing away, I tell everybody that's when I really became a bodybuilder, because it was with him that I kind of like saw life in a different way and just wanted to again like focus on what my dreams and aspirations and goals are. And I was like, I have 2 ways to go. I can either thrive or die off. And so I decided to be the better man and go after the things I wanted. So at 23 years old, that's when I consider myself a true bodybuilder.
Bodybuilding 6 years. Now, it's interesting because when my mom passed when I was 14, she had cancer. And I said to myself at that point that I'm not going to do anything in life that doesn't make me happy. So
that's pretty much what it came down to.
And it's hard, because it's a harsh reality, because when you realize that, hey, if someone can disappear from your life like that, it could happen to me. I'm like, I could get cancer and die, you know, if she got it. And so I had that like fear. And so I never didn't do things that I didn't like. So when I was in medical school, one of the reasons I left was because I was really enjoying bodybuilding, and I really wasn't enjoying the medical school. I hated working in the hospital. I don't know why. Some people love the hospital. I liked the school part of it. I hated the hospital. And I said, you know what? I could be dead tomorrow. I'm like, I'm just going to do the bodybuilding. I'm taking a year off. And I never quit anything. Like that was not in my like makeup. So for me, that was like out of character, but it was like, I kept thinking about what if this misery that I'm in causes me to get cancer? And I think that, you know, when you lose a parent, that thought goes through your head, and it wouldn't normally go through your head. And I think you probably had that same thing. You know, I could be dead tomorrow. You know what I'm doing to myself here, right?
Exactly, because it's a domino effect. You know, that negativity turns into negative decisions and bad decisions. It's a poison that just, you know, takes over your life. And it's like, well, do I want to continue down this path and pretty much end up in the same place as my dad did, or do I want to like pretty much make my dreams a reality? Do the things that mean the most to me, the things I want to do, like I have a choice here. And so I chose the latter.
When did you meet Justin Compton and start working with him?
So actually, it's funny. I was at my gym, and so for people that don't know, like I've done 3 shows. The very, very first show I did was in 2020, the COVID year, and had to wear a mask on stage and everything. But I was 100% natural till I was 26, right before I turned 27. So my show was in November. I did 100% natural, no diuretics, no nothing like that. And I took second in the open class. It was a show called Iron Games in California, California, San Diego. And it was in that moment where I'm like, okay, like I wanted to do that naturally to see how I level up against these guys that are going to, you know, be enhanced and stuff. And I did well. And so I was like, okay, well, I believe this is going to be worth it for me. I love this sport, so I want to be competitive though, because if I'm going to compete, I want to win. And then so in November, literally the week following that show, my rebound consisted of my very first cycle. Then, so for the California state championship that I did, I was only 4 cycles in, and I won the overall for that show. And
how much weight did you gain from that first cycle?
What happened?
How much weight did you gain on that first cycle you did?
So on stage at the Iron Games, my first show, I weighed 187. At the end of that first cycle, I gained 50 pounds. I got up to 238.
Well, let's assume that 20 pounds of it was water rebound, but that's still a lot of fucking weight you gained.
Yeah, that's a lot of fucking weight.
You know what? I always tell people, anabolics work best on well-trained muscle. So if you have a good base and you start taking stuff, look at Kai Green, Sean Roden, Ronnie Coleman. They were all really good natural bodybuilders, and then they took stuff and they blew up. Justin Compton was a great natural bodybuilder, believe it or not.
He did. Going back to Justin, Justin actually works with my buddy Paul. His name is Paul Heinsohn. He's my training partner. He's actually in like a couple of training videos of mine. He's like a brother to me. He's the reason I got with Justin. So Paul actually approached me when I was getting ready for that very first show that I did. Asked me why I wasn't on anything. I told him my whole spiel, like I want to make sure this is the life I want to take on. I know what the sacrifices that comes with it. I want to also see how I do, you know, with just what I have to bring to the table as me, and that's it. Like just my work ethic and the food. And so after that, Paul asked to be my training partner, and we worked out together. He's watched me grow and everything. And I took almost 2 years off before deciding to do the Cal. And so the reason for that was I didn't really have the money to do a show. And we were sitting there training legs one day, and Paul asks me, Joe, when are you gonna compete? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I kind of want to hold off on it. And he was like, what is the real reason? He's like, is it a money thing? And I said, to be honest, yeah, like money's tight. Like I wouldn't be able to afford it right now. And then he told me, he's like, look, if that's the case, he's like, because you're ready to do a show. He said, I will message my coach, which is Justin Compton. He's like, I'm going to talk to him about you, and I'll pay for your first 2 months of coaching. He's like,
Wow.
he said, if that will help you, if that's what's going to get you to compete, he's like, I'm more than happy to do that for you. And I looked at him and I said, look, Paul, if you have that much belief in me and are willing to put a monetary, amount to
Right.
me, like I am more than happy to do this show, and I will give it my all. And literally that following week, I got a message from Justin saying that he's gonna work with me and all that stuff and all that. And I started with Justin in November of 2021, and he got to have a part of an off season with me, and then we started prep for that Cal state championship. And the show's in May, end of May. So from November to May is when he first got to work with me. And then after I won the overall, I've done the whole off season with Justin, this last prep, and that's how long we've been together.
Crazy. That's a crazy story. How has your father's death at this point affected you? Have you gotten past that? It took me a long time to get past my mother's passing. Do you feel like you've gotten over that? I mean, that's a hard loss, to lose.
I would say that I started moving past it after 3 years. So it hits like I was watching. It was. Have you ever seen that movie Click with Adam Sandler?
Yes.
There's a moment where Adam Sandler is being an absolute ass to his dad. He's all in his computer, right? And his dad walks away crying about this coin trick thing. Yeah. And he's like, because Adam Sandler's watching himself do this part, right? And he's like, look at the man. And then finds out that his dad passes away. And I start bawling, man. I was like, damn. Because it took me there.
I do the same thing. You know how many movies I watch like that? I'm like hysterical. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I was sitting in my room right here and watching this.
What gets me?
My girl was asleep. So she didn't see me. I swear to God, though, I got up and I popped in a Rimadex. I was like, man, that shit hit too hard.
No, I got a more embarrassing one. Have you seen the movie The Flash?
Yes. All
right. So we go to the movies. My two daughters go with my wife to see Little Mermaid, and my son wants to see The Flash. Thank God, because I wanted to see it too.
Yeah.
So we're in the movies, and there's this. You remember the scene where he goes back in time and he sees his mom had died, and he goes and he has this moment in the supermarket with his mom.
Okay.
And where she doesn't really know who he is, but she kind of does. But he gets like another chance with his mom.
Yes.
Forget about it. That got me. And tears are running down my face. And my son looks over at me. He goes, "Dad, are you crying?" I said, "My son is 7 years old, by the way. He's 7. I couldn't stop it. I tried because I saw he was looking."
Dude, I'm telling you, like I told you, my girl was asleep next to me, and I was just like hyperventilating.
So we get out of the movie, and we see my wife and my two daughters. My son goes to my wife. He's like, "Daddy was crying in the movie." Like,
always,
in
man,
the Flash.
Show you out.
She didn't know what it was about. She's like, "What are you crying about in the Flash?" I said, "There's a scene with the guy's mother." She's like, "Oh,
yeah, man."
So
you never see it coming.
Yeah, no,
it doesn't always happen. Like I'll see sentimental moments like that, and it doesn't always hit me like that. But just random, boom. This is like 6 years later, and it's still part of me, I guess.
It's for the rest of your life. It's gonna happen. Trust me. I'm 55 years old. It's still happening.
But I can sit here and talk to you about it, talk about him and stuff, how it's affected me. Yeah. And nothing happens. But then, boom, I watch something like that, and oh, man, here it goes.
The rest of your life, it's going to happen. My mom passed in 1984, and it's still happening to me. So
that's just crazy. How much that person impacted your life. It just goes to show,
Absolutely.
to this day.
Yeah, but you know what? It made you who you are today. If your father hadn't passed, I don't think you would be the man you are today. So, I mean,
Exactly.
It's definitely changed your life.
I am a huge believer in everything happening for a reason. There's no coincidences. You either let them build you or break you, and I've learned to always let them build me.
Yeah. So. What's the future plan for competing in the pro ranks? I thought maybe you would jump into Tampa this weekend, but after talking to you about the Cal and everything like that, I have a feeling you're going to wait till next year.
So 100%, that's the plan. Is I was very closed book on what I wanted to do after the Cal. This one I still had a mentality, but I actually bounced it off my coach, and I was like, look, coach, like I'm a small fish in a big pond all over again, and it's like being a freshman going up to varsity all over again. So I was like, I try to be as realistic as possible, but I also set high expectations for myself. And I've always had the mentality, like, if I'm going to compete, I'm trying to win. You suffer hard, especially, you push your body, you take yourself to that limit, and you look the way you look for reasons. And I said, I plan on winning my pro debut. I was like, I don't want to go up there and be like, oh, I hope I place well. No, I want to be ready to win. And so right now, we plan on doing our best to pretty much copy the blueprint of the last one. I obviously understand, the farther you push things, the less muscle you're going to put on over time. So that's why I even wanted to extend this time a little bit. So I want to win my pro debut at the Cal Pro in 2025, which gives me 22 months in between shows, which will give me an 18-month push with a 4-month prep. And but the only thing, like, Justin was on board with it. It's just a matter of, instead of setting a show date, he kind of wants to see how my body responds with the rebound and then the couple pushes that we do. So it could be earlier than that, where it's not more than a year. It just depends on how my body responds with the food and the training and all that stuff.
Is a psychologist, because he knows that you're a basket case, so he figures, let's just see how you do. He knows you'll put on 10, 12 pounds probably by next season. So
that's the goal.
Then. Yeah.
I want. So I was 230.5. I said, Justin, I don't want to be any less than 240, 245 for my pro debut. And I said, sitting on my frame, I was the lightest super heavy on that stage. At the USA's, and I said I didn't look the lightest, and I said, so realistically, I think I can be very competitive and win a show like the Cal Pro, depending on who comes in. You never know, but I will. I just want to make sure that I'm a contender for the win, with a little bit more muscle in the right places, and I want to put it in my legs, my lower erectors, and my back. And maybe even add some more size to my arms, because I love big arms. So
never be too big, as I always say.
Keep things
one of those showy muscle groups. You can't have too much of that. Ask Ronnie Coleman that. His arms. Ron. I always tell this story. Ronnie and I were sitting in an Outback together once. We were guest posing in Fargo, North Dakota, and Ronnie looked over at me. Ronnie had this like sleeveless shirt on, and his arms looked like they were like 30 inches. I was big too. I was like 300 pounds. And, I was very lean. Even when I would guest pose, I was like ripped all the time. And Ronnie looks over at me. He goes, how do you stay so lean? And I didn't even know what to say to him. I said, Ronnie, how did you get like 25-inch arms? He's like, my mama. I said, well, my mama gave me this metabolism too. I said, it's all from my parents, Ronnie. That's where it comes from. But I was shocked that Ronnie was asking me.
Yeah.
In other words, there was something that he was not content about. Like, he wanted to be leaner in the off season. He wanted to know how I did it. Like, there might have been a secret like that I wasn't telling him or something like that. I just happen to have a very good metabolism. But everyone has their own gifts, and so you got to kind of play to your gifts. Obviously, you have the ability to put a lot of muscle on. That won't last forever. I always tell people, grow when you can grow.
It's funny you say that, because when I got to the 270 mark, that was really hard. But then holding it was even harder, because your appetite is just gone. It's just completely gone. well, when you touch a new weight like that, and I actually, because of you, I preached it to my friends, like, because I was strong as hell, and I was like, dude, I'm not even kidding. Like every night I would replace, because I do 7 meals. One of them's like a shake post workout. And my coach told me I could replace 2 meals with a cheat meal, and so towards like the last quarter of my off season, I would have either a Little Caesars pizza or McDonald's every single night before bed. And my buddy, my training partner Paul, was like, "Yo, Joe, you're strong as hell." I was like, "Yo, man, this sodium overload."
Yeah.
I was like, "Look, it's helping me hold my weight.
Yeah.
I can get it down." I was like, "Dude, it's an easy like 2,000 to 3,000 calories at the end of the night that I can just shovel in."
I couldn't do the whole pizza because I was so lactose intolerant that I would be like, I'd be laying in bed like gasping for air probably the whole night. But the McDonald's, man, that was my my magic came from the McDonald's. If you can't get enough calories, it's so calorie dense, that meal, that like you just can't beat it. I don't know. It doesn't work if you're a fatty, but it works if you have like a supercharged metabolism and you can't get enough physical food down your throat. For some reason, you add a McDonald's meal and you grow. It's incredible. It's like turbocharging a bodybuilder almost. That's the best way to put it.
I'm telling you, I was strong as hell the next day too. And I would only like in the off season, I always train better with less food in me. So like 2 meals max, and then I'll train. Then the rest of the night I'll just be full as hell. Like, but I don't have to worry about it because I already did the training.
Right.
And then it's completely different in prep. Like I'll usually have at least 3 or 4 meals in before I train. Yeah, man, that's how I was able to do it this last time.
That's awesome.
But it was McDonald's, and I'll never, because I watched RX Muscle and you all the time and stuff, and then other bodybuilders too. They have their thing, but McDonald's was so damn cheap to just get.
You can't go wrong. I said that to Lee Priest, and Lee Priest is like, "You know how expensive McDonald's is in Australia?" I said, "No, how it's like quadruple the price in Australia." But I mean, when you get I don't know if they still have. I think they still have it occasionally, but I used to get the. They used to do like 99-cent double cheeseburgers. I would get like 3 of those, and that's like and I make triple cheeseburgers out of them. I mean, that's for $3. I mean, how can you go wrong? Especially when you're a starting bodybuilder where you don't have any money. It's like the easiest way to get protein cheap.
Yeah, they have little McDoubles now, so same thing, just the double cheeseburger. Okay. It's like 2 for $4.
Yeah,
so you get like 4 of those bad boys and some cookies and maybe a large fry or something, and then you're.
I was the baked apple pie guy. I don't know if they still have the baked apple pie.
They do, but I'm a cookie guy, dude. Like 3 cookies, that's an easy like 400 plus calories right there. I was like,
absolutely, 100%. I would do it as my first meal most of the time. I would actually eat McDonald's and then go to the gym after that with just like feeling like because overnight I always got dehydrated, and so like if I did that in the morning, all that sodium by an hour or 2 later, I was like bursting at the seams.
There was a process. I would eat that, and then the next morning, you drink your first 16 liter or 16 ounce drink of water, right? But then you drink your coffee, and so that kind of like gets things moving. So you go to the restroom and then kind of start your day fresh. So. I'll be up for a good 2 hours before I eat the first meal, and then I'll get things going. Clean myself out for success.
It's all good. But let me let you talk about your sponsors. You have any sponsors you want to mention?
No, man, I don't. I've been doing this all. I have my gym, the gym owner. He helps me out with his supplements and stuff. Okay. So I'll show them from time to time. Right now, I mean, honestly, I've been tried and true with a hostile. I really like Fuad. Like I like his mentality. I'm huge on work ethic, and so I'm always I'm not sponsored by him, but I always show his stuff because even on my preps, I've used him for all my preps, and I'm just that's all I really use. But no sponsorships, not yet. I'm hoping to hear from some people, but.
They'll be coming in. You'll see. And now that we put it out
I'm being
there,
real patient with it, man. I'm being real patient. Like I said, it's. I've been patient this long. I'm just enjoying it day by day. Some of the best advice I've been given was by everybody who's actually done the sport and enjoyed it for what it is to enjoy the journey. So I've even when I won the Cal, the one thing I didn't do was really allow myself. I didn't allow myself to like enjoy that moment. I was right to. I want to win Miss USA, so I went right back to work. I didn't have no cheat meals or nothing. That whole rebound
Oh,
period,
wow.
And
No,
it was like I didn't allow myself to let that soak in. And this time I made sure to I matured myself a little bit and understand that I could still work towards my goal, but still appreciate what I've accomplished. And so that's kind of where I'm at. That's where I'm at with the patience of whatever comes my way is meant for me and all those kinds of things. So.
Spoils of your victory, as I always say, and you know, you're our Mr. USA for at least for the next year. You are.
Yeah.
And, it's been some good Mr. USAs that have gone on to do some amazing things in the sport. Hopefully, you'll be one of them.
Yeah, I plan on it. Yeah, look at this thing. I'm so proud of it. It's huge. It's like 25 pounds.
You're lucky. I was going to say, did you drive to Vegas?
So I drove, yes.
Oh, and, yes, you're lucky. Yeah.
But my buddy, I drive a Mustang, and that trunk is not that big. So, you know, being a bodybuilder, I brought a bunch of stuff with me. So I asked him, I was like, hey, man, can you take it back?
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably couldn't even bring it on the plane. They would invariably probably break it, I'm sure, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about, too. Like, but he had plenty of trunk space, so it got home unscathed, you know.
That's all good. It's all good. You know, at the end of the day, you know, these moments in life are so fleeting, and they're so over so quickly. You know, you really should enjoy it, but never, as a bodybuilder, we can never rest on our laurels because we're always like trying to better ourselves and improve. And so, in essence, you get a couple of days to kind of like gloat and enjoy it, but then it's right back to the grindstone. Are you back to the gym yet?
Yeah, right away. So that Sunday, so Saturday night, you obviously have, you know, post-show dinner.
Sure.
And then Sunday, I ate freely all day. I never overdo it. Like I said, it's one of those things, like, I don't want to backtrack myself. I want to, like you said, keep moving forward, but also create some sort of balance. So,
sure.
On Monday, I was still in Las Vegas, but I had all my prep food, and I asked my coach for the plan. So even though I was still there, I went right back to plan. If I was supposed to do cardio, if I was supposed to train chest that day, didn't matter. Like, Monday started, and that's when the plan started. So,
what do you mean you were supposed to train? You were supposed to do cardio. I mean, the cardio is over when the show is over, isn't it?
So with Justin, it's not much. It's right now just to get some of the excess water out and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's more so. It's like 4 days a week, 25 minutes, and I only train 5 days a week. And on my off seasons, I'm a huge believer in taking true rest days.
Absolutely.
Where you just let your body rest. So I try to do my cardio on all my upper body days, which is 4 days out of the week. And then I never do cardio on leg day. I let my legs, you know, do their thing. So I had to do it Monday. You know, so
I always tell people the best advice I can give them after a show is as soon as you gain more than 10 pounds, take a half a diuretic.
Yeah, you know, my buddy told me that the next morning after Saturday night that because we went to breakfast together, he's like, yo, I took like an eighth of a Diazide.
You have to. It's stupid to suffer with the water retention. That if you went to the hospital and said I feel terrible, they would give you a diuretic. They would, you know, they'd probably give you a shot of Lasix. So
see, I wasn't too worried about that just because I mean I didn't take a diuretic for the show. So I wasn't worried about it. Like my body didn't do nothing crazy. I was actually,
but I'm sure you restricted fluid for a day or so, right?
You know, I think the lowest amount of fluid I actually had was 2.5 liters.
Really? So
so my body,
you don't hold much water at all. You know?
When I'm like 4 weeks out, I'm dry as hell, and it's actually really hard for me to stay hydrated. Like, so I was drinking like 8 liters of water up until that Tuesday, that Tuesday.
You must be on the toilet bowl all the time.
Yeah, dude, it's annoying.
You probably just sit there with your phone and just pee continuously. That's what I used to do.
Yeah, and then at night, I was going like 4 or 5 times minimum.
It'd drive you crazy, right?
Yeah, it does. My younger brother, he's in the other room.
Yeah.
He would hear me get up, and I guess he would tell my mom, "Man, Joe's suffering. I just feel so bad for him. Like he doesn't sleep, he doesn't get to eat." Because when I prep, like you said, one of my gifts, I have an appetite, but also like I can put on muscle a little easier than other people.
Right.
But when I go down for my shows, like I'm doing the almost 2 hours of cardio, and I'm on like,
Right.
I think the lowest my carbs got was like 70 grams of carbs, and then 27 grams on my off days. So,
Right.
but still with the 100 minutes of cardio involved, you know, it's just
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. But you know, I wanted to ask you one more question, just because it's unusual. I don't know if I've seen anyone with the name Joe, J-O. Where does that come from?
believe it or not, that actually, so Joe is such an average name. They literally say average Joe.
Right.
So a person in my life at the time would spell it this way. And they told me, the reason I spell it this way, Joe, is to make you stand out. Everybody has E at the end of their name. So if we take the E away, it'll make you not so average. And so that's where the J-O came from. Yeah.
I didn't know that. See, I had to ask. If you don't ask these questions, you don't find out these stories.
Hey, man, there's a reason and purpose behind everything I do.
I love it.
Stand out somehow.
There you go. Well, you stood out this past weekend. You won not only the super heavyweight, you won the overall. You're Mr. USA. You're an IFBB Pro. Yes, congratulations on the big win for you and Justin there, and enjoy the spoils of your victory, and you'll keep us updated.
Yeah, I definitely will. You'll be seeing a lot of me.
All right. And that's going to take us, guys, to the end of another episode of RX Muscle Spotlight. I'm Dave Palumbo with Joe Palacios. We'll see you next time.